Hi there, Terry back again. Hope I find you well and welcome to my latest video. And this time it's part 2 of Action Superman 1968. Thank you for the new people that have subscribed and the kind comments. I love replying to the comments. And please let me know in the comments if you enjoy these Superman videos. Right then, let's start with Superman 207 July 68 with a cover from Neil Adams, an 80-page giant celebrating 30 years of Superman. And all but one story I've covered in my previous videos. And that one is from Lois Lane number 15, February 1960. And we get to meet Van Zee for the first time from the bottle city of Candor. He marries Lois Lane and they have a family. And it's not a hoax or an imaginary story. But you'll have to search it out to find the twist, if there is one. Next we have Superman 208 from July, another Neil Adams cover. And this is The Case of the Collared Crime Fighter, written by Frank Robbins, pencils by Kurt Swan, and inks by Jack Abel. And the cover explains most of this story, except if he takes that colour off, bombs will be set off throughout Metropolis. And we have a second story in this issue, which is a reprint from Superman 130 from July 59. And this is The Town That Hated Superman. Next we have number 365 from July, with a cover this time by Ross Andrew. And we have part 3 of the Virus X story. This one, Superman's Funeral, and the creators as of 1 and 2 from part 1. So you're going to have to look at part 1 to find out. Superman looks back on his life as he gets to the sun Flambron. The trajectory of his funeral rocket takes him through the atmosphere of Lexor, who have finally seen the truth about Luthor. So they are destroying everything about him. And then when he passes the Bizarro world, the inhabitants fling red and white kryptonite at him, as in mourning. And on the cover you can see what he sees, last as he is engulfed by the sun's flames. And the Supergirl tale in this one is The Case of the Campus Crimes, written by Dave Wood and Kurt Schaffenberger with the art. In this one, Supergirl becomes a bit of a vandal and a thief, all down to red kryptonite, of course. And next we have Superman 209, Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito on the cover. And the title there, The Clark Kent Monster. An alien brain creature battles Superman and is initially defeated by him. But he steals some of the Man of Steel's brain cells and uses them to clone a Clark Kent body for itself, and proves to be more than the hero can handle. And next we have 366, August cover date. Another cover by Neil Adams. And the writer this time is Leo Dorfman, and the art Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito. Superman and his flying coffin rocket towards cremation, but he is shielded from Flambron's intense flames by beings who call themselves Flambronians, creatures of living flame. They survive on this sun's surface. Superman had saved the life of a flame breather related to their race years ago as Superboy, so they returned the kindness. That story was actually in Superboy 115 from September 64. And meanwhile on Earth, well, you can see what's happening by the cover. And next in this issue, the Supergirl story, written by Carrie Bates and art by Kurt Schaffenberger. And it's called Stanhope Off Limits. And we have two female alien terrorists called Alpha and Beta, and they construct a force barrier around Stanhope College to imprison the faculty and the students, and it also includes a Linda Danvers robot. Supergirl is more powerful than both of them, but she is unable to use her powers, as this will trigger a bomb which will destroy Stanhope. Alpha and Beta are free to seek out a student named David Carew, who flees with them. Supergirl decides that the crisis warrants her opening a special box, which she thinks will change her life drastically. See next issue for details. But first we get to Superman 210, September cover date, with another Neil Adams cover. And this one is called Clark Kent's Last Rites. It's written by Leo Dorfman, pencils by Kurt Swan, and inks by Mike Esposito. And truthfully, I'm not sure a story like this would happen today, and I'm not sure why it happened then. Superman tires of Lois, rejecting his alter ego Clark as a romantic interest. Assuming the identity of Astar, a fortune-telling mystic, convinces her and his other co-workers that Clark has committed suicide. Bit extreme, don't you think? But Lois's anguish over Clark's death convinces him to bring Clark back from the dead. I don't think I could have spoken to him after that. How about you? Let me know in the comments. And next we have 367. September cover date. Neil Adams cover. And we have the mysteries of the Superman Awards. Superman is scheduled to appear at the 1968 Superman Awards as himself, but is also slated to escort Lois Lane there as Clark Kent. And Bruce Wayne is also attending, meaning he cannot substitute for Clark. So, who does he get? Unless you've read the story, you will never guess. And no, it's not a president this time. And then we have the cover story, The Evil of Alpha and Beta by Cary Bates, art by Kurt Schaffenberger. Supergirl exposes herself to gold kryptonite in the hopes of destroying her powers, thus preventing the bomb at Stanhope from detecting her. Alpha and Beta have told David Carew that he is destined to create a vaccine against all diseases. They want him to create it now. Supergirl succeeds in saving him and escapes to dismantle the bomb. Meanwhile, Superman is wondering why Supergirl has missed her meeting with him. And with his telescopic vision, he sees her plight and flies towards Stanhope. Hence the cover. And next we have Action 368, October cover date. Cover this time by Carmine Infantino. Written by Otto Binder. It's the Unemployed Superman. Art by Ross Andrew, inks by Mike Esposito. Superman comes back from a memorial in space of Krypton's destruction to find that criminals on Earth and in the Phantom Zone have reformed. As you see by the cover, finally we have peace. So what's the twist? You have to read it to find out. And then next is part 3 of the Supergirl story. Supergirl's stand to save Stanhope. Cary Bates writing, Kurt Schaffenberger still with the art. Superman speeds up to the speed of light and breaks through the time barrier and emerges several days in the past, before the barrier existed. David Carew and Supergirl finally locate and disarm the bomb. 2 policemen from the year 3604 appear. They inform Supergirl they covertly shielded her from the gold kryptonite, so she still has her powers. So why didn't the bomb go off? Who knows? She then captures Alpha and Beta and hands them over to the officers. Turns out Alpha and Beta are from the 37th century and wanted what was rare in their time, the Noricon, but not in ours, and unfortunately for them, they hadn't gone further enough in time, as it was David's son, yet to be born, David Carew Jr., that developed this drug. Next we have Superman 211, November 68, cover by Kurt Swan. And this is the last issue of 68. 2 stories this time. Firstly, You Too Can Be a Super Artist. It's written by Frank Robbins, pencils by Ross Andrew, inks by Mike Esposito. Superman cracks down on a phony art school, and in the process goes back in time to pose for Gainsborough's Blue Boy and Rembrandt's Night Watch. Then we have The Name of the Game is Superman, writer David Wood, pencils Kurt Swan, inks Jack Abel. And the cover tells the story. This guy is just convinced Clark is Superman. Right, Action 369, November cover date. Kurt Swan with the cover. And from last issue, the creations that are called the Sentinels, and it's not those ones you're thinking of, they created the utopia that was now Earth. And they are continuing their good works, but Superman misconstrues what they are doing with the bottle city of Kandor and destroys the 5 Sentinels. Turns out they were only protecting it until Supergirl could enlarge it. So he has doomed Earth to war, crime and disaster again. This was written by Otto Binder, pencils Kurt Swan, inks Jack Abel. And also inside we have The Boy Who Broke Supergirl's Heart, written by Leo Dorfman, art by Kurt Schaffenberger. Supergirl noticed the heartbreaking tactics of campus Romeo Gary Sparks and decides to give him a taste of his own medicine. This backfires though, and we see what happens next issue. And the last issue of the year, Action 370, December cover date, with another lovely Neil Adams cover. Now this is probably my favourite tale from this year. It was called 100 Years Lost, Stolen or Strayed, written by Kerry Bates, art by Kurt Swan and Jack Abel. And it's not an imaginary tale or a dream, but actually canon, or to this day as far as I know. Superman has strange nightmares about having lived an entire lifetime on another planet. And when he checks the age of the reconstructed rocket that brought him to Earth, he finds it's over 100 years old. Unknown to Superman, when his rocket passed into the spacewalk between Krypton and Earth, it fell into another universe and landed on a planet populated by cave people. But radiations from his body propelled the inhabitants rapidly through social and technological advancement until they were a space-age culture. You'll need to read this, if you haven't already, to learn more. It's a brilliant story. And lastly, we have Supergirl's Shattered Marriage, written by Leo Dorfman, art Kurt Schaffenberger. Supergirl has fallen in love with Gary Sparks. She begins romancing him as Supergirl. He proposes marriage. She accepts. She then uses a prognosticon computer to create a simulation of what married life will be like. She discovers he will not be ideal at all, and now has to find a way for him to break the engagement. Well, that's it for another year. Hopefully you enjoyed those. If you would let me know in the comments, and if you would give it a thumbs up, that will be brilliant. Subscribe if you like the content. I'm heading slowly towards a 500 giveaway. And do you want 1969? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.